Hey guys, Mirrormask here. I decided to revisit Neverwinter for a little bit, for a few hours or so. I played it a little bit, ran around. Apparently wall jumping can't even do that anymore. They done blocked all that, but I was still able to get up on top of my flagpole. So I will sit on top of my flagpole, which they can never take away from me. But anyway, I wanted to make a video and show you guys the build and stuff that it was that I used, and from what I understand, it's still a very viable build. The history on this build is for the Great Weapon Fighter, by the way. The history on this build is in all the betas and stuff. I played a control wizard and I played a cleric, and I never touched the Great Weapon Fighter. Because all through beta, everyone was like, oh, well, at least through the last phase of the beta, everyone was like, well, the Great Weapon Fighter, it's kind of gone to shit. And so I was like, yeah, you know, I'm not even going to try it. So when the game went into early access and stuff, hang on one second, let me close my ventriloquist so we don't have sounds and stuff. But when it went into early access, I immediately rolled a control wizard. And when it went into live, I kept playing the control wizard. And then, I don't know, just about a week after that, it did not take me very long to hit level cap on the control wizard. And not too long after I hit level cap, I was like, you know what? When the game first went live, I made a Great Weapon Fighter, but I didn't even play it. I didn't even log into it. And everyone was just down in, oh, the damage sucks, this and that, oh, that no one needs a Great Weapon Fighter for anything, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but me, I'm that kind of guy that I love playing that underdog class. When I go to a brand new MMO or something, the first thing I do is like, you know, what's the class nobody wants to play so I can figure it out. I mean, that's just how I am. Maybe it's my Asperger's syndrome. I don't know. But I love playing that underdog class and figuring out how to make it, you know, needed, and I did that with the Great Weapon Fighter. And what I did is, from the ground up, I had this idea in my head. It's like, okay, everyone's trying to do DPS, everyone's trying to do AoE DPS, but I'm looking through the feats and the traits and stuff here, and I think if I try to build an AoE tank with this Great Weapon Fighter, in my head, doing the math, it's going to be amazing. So that's what I did from the ground up, from the race I chose to the feats, the traits, the gear, the gems in the slots in the gear and everything. I built this thing from the ground up day one to be an AoE tank. And amazingly enough, it wound up being an amazing AoE tank. I'm talking like when you're fighting Pirate King, for example. Everyone can focus on Pirate King, and all the ads that spawn, I can kite and handle those solo. As a matter of fact, me and a buddy of mine, back when I used to play this a lot, he was a rogue, and he would tank and fight the Pirate King, and I would handle all the ads, and we would duo it. I know, it's crazy, but yeah, we would duo it. And that's because the way this build works is I've got a lot of self-regen. When I do damage, I'm proccing extra damage, which in turn life steals, and then the extra damage that procs life steals. But I'm going to go through, and I'm just going to show you the gear that it was that I was using at the time. And, well, first of all, I'll show you the traits it was and stuff, the passives. I was using Bravery for deflect chance and all that, and Weapon Mastery are the two passives that I was using, excuse me. But my deflect chance, which it looks like Bravery, they skimmed some off of that, but at one point my deflect chance, yeah, my stats are a lot lower than they used to be. They must have scaled stuff down or something. But my damage resistance while I'm in combat and my stuff's proccing and I'm buffing up and all that, both my damage resistance and my deflection chance were both over 52%. So I was deflecting a lot, like almost every 2 to 3 hits easily I was deflecting. And that's, you got to think 2 to 3 hits. You think, okay, well that's kind of crappy. No, 2 to 3 hits when I have like 20 or 30 mobs hitting me at one time. I would deflect every 2 to 3 hits coming in per second. So I was able to self-sustain with my self-healing and my life steals and all that. But I'll get into that in just a second. I was in full Titan gear. And as you can see, I mean, all my gear's Titan. And what I was running, in all my utility slots, I was running Dark Enchantment, which that's the movement speed stuff. I'm trying to look in. I'm trying to remember. I hadn't played this in several months. Alright, I was using the Briar Wine on my chest, in the chest slot. And I'm trying. Hold on. I'm trying to remember what all this stuff was. So guys, bear with me. I think Briar Wine's the one where if someone hits me, I have a chance to do damage back. I thought that may have been what Briar Wine was. Yeah, that's what Briar Wine is. Briar Twine, excuse me. And but yeah, I mean, basically all my gems, I was running things that had deflect. I was running things that had lifesteal. I was running things that had just defensive stats. I mean, that's the point I'm getting at it here. All my stuff was defense and deflect, lifesteal, life regen, and things that allowed me to do damage back to things when they hit me. I ran Tenebrae, I think that was the name of the gem. Yeah, Tenebrae on all of my slots that could handle Tenebrae. So that way, when I do damage, I have a chance to do additional damage, and that additional damage plus the initial damage lifesteal back towards me. So all I have to do is pull a ton of mobs, and as long as I'm attacking them, I've got so much self-regen coming in that it's very hard for me to go down. And even in PvP, it was the same way. I mean, I could hold my own as a defensive great weapon fighter, but through my self-regens, and I could take on, I could hold points against 2-3 enemies for a good length of time. I mean, I'm not going to say I could hold them for 2, 3, 4 minutes. I mean, that's a little out there. But no, 15, 20 seconds, I could hold my own against multiple attackers on a point at one time until, my team could get to that point. So I thought of this as kind of like, okay, this is an AoE tank build in PvE, and in PvP it makes a very viable point, like a point defender, someone that can take the ass kicking for a little while until the team can get there. And so yeah, I mean, that's basically the build that I did. And I'm not gonna state that I was the very first person to run this build, but on my server I was the very first person to run this build, and a lot of people laughed at me for this build. My guild members all told me, lifesteal, what do you need lifesteal for? What do you need regen for? What do you need all these stats for? No, you need to be DPS, you need to be this. But see, I saw something. I saw something in the Great Weapon Fighter that no one else at the time was seeing. I mean, maybe on some of the other servers or something, maybe there were people that were stumbling across this as well, but I just, when I first made this, I was looking through the feats, I was hovering over here, reading everything, and putting it all together in my head, and I was like, I don't think I want to go offensive with this. I want to go defensive because, the different things that proc off different things, and just for having, like, weapon mastery, for example, my deflect chance shoots through the roof and all this stuff, and I thought, well, if I just build a defensive, deflection-based great weapon fighter with a bunch of self-heals and stuff, it might work. And so, I did it. Like I said, my server, as far as I know, I was the first person, and I got a lot of ridicule for it. And that's just part of doing things against the grain, I guess. Is you're always going to get those people that are going to laugh at you and tell you that it's not going to work, and it's not viable, and we're never going to take you on dungeon runs and all this stuff. And after about a week and a half of showing people what this build could do, in my guild, I was the top person that was asked to come to everything because of my capability to just It's okay, guys. I'll pull all the ads on me. I'll handle all that. You guys just run over to the boss. You know, it's that simple. I could run ahead of everybody, just pull tremendous amounts of mobs onto me, and hold them, while the rest of my party could pass by that area. And it was extremely effective. It's a very efficient self-healing build. I mean, I did have to use pots. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't have that great of self-healing that I could just take that kind of ass kicking and not die. No, I mean, I had to pop pots. But what originally led me to this, and people were saying, oh, the reason you don't need to have that kind of build is because you got pots. Just pop potions and restore your health. And I was thinking, yeah, but there's a 15-second, delay between when I can pop another potion. Wouldn't it be great? Ooh, wishful thinking here. It'd be great if I could self-heal myself between that. And so I was like, all the mechanics are there to do it. All the feats are there to do it. The powers are there to do it. The gems are there to do it. The gear's there to do it. Why hasn't anyone put this together yet? So I put it together, and I built it from the ground up. I leveled it all the way up as a defensive, all the way down to my racial choice. The racial choice that I chose because I had this build in mind. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. I mean, that's how I played Neverwinter. I mean, this is, I had the game laying around, and I thought, well, I don't know if anybody's even searching for videos for Neverwinter anymore, but I might as well, talk about my build, and maybe it'll help someone if they're still playing it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, subscribe to the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Thumbs up. Leave any comments below. I mean, tell me, do you use this build? If you're a great weapon fighter, have you tried this build? If you have, what's your experience has been with it? Have you run it since day one? Did you start out DPS and then later change to this, or did you start out this and later change to DPS? I mean, let me know in the comments below, and you guys have a nice day.